September 1944, the world was engulfed in the throes of World War II, and the Allied forces were making significant strides against the Axis powers. The Allied armies, flushed with victory after the breakout from Normandy, stood poised on the edge of the German heartland. Morale was high, victory seemed within grasp. The soldiers, buoyed by their recent successes, were eager to press on and deliver the final blow to the German war machine. It was in this optimistic atmosphere that Field Marshal Montgomery presented his ambitious plan, Operation Market Garden. This plan was bold, audacious, and fraught with risks, but it promised a swift end to the war if successful. The operation, a daring airborne assault coupled with a rapid armoured thrust, aimed to seize a series of bridges across the Netherlands. These bridges were crucial for the Allies to secure a direct route into the heart of Germany. Its ultimate goal was to cross the Rhine, the last major natural barrier before Berlin. Capturing these bridges would pave the way for an unimpeded advance into Germany, potentially ending the war by Christmas. The operation was audacious, relying on meticulous timing and the element of surprise. Every detail had to be perfect, and every unit had to execute their part flawlessly for the plan to succeed. 3 airborne divisions, the American 101st and 82nd and the British 1st Airborne, would land deep behind enemy lines. Their mission was to capture and hold the bridges until the ground forces could link up with them. Their mission to secure key bridges along a narrow corridor, the highway to hell, culminating in the crucial bridge at Arnhem. This corridor would be the lifeline for the advancing ground forces. Meanwhile, Écart's Corps, spearheaded by the Guards Armoured Division, would race north from Belgium. Their objective was to link up with the paratroopers, break through the German lines and open the way into Germany. Their objective, link up with the paratroopers, break through the German lines and open the way into Germany. The success of the operation hinged on the speed and coordination of these two forces. Operation Market Garden, however, fell short of its lofty goals. Despite the initial successes, the operation encountered unforeseen challenges and fierce resistance. The operation, though initially successful in capturing several bridges, faced fierce German resistance, particularly at Arnhem. The German forces, well prepared and heavily fortified, put up a tenacious defense. The British paratroopers, surrounded and outgunned, fought with extraordinary courage. Their determination and bravery in the face of overwhelming odds became legendary. But after 9 days of brutal fighting, they were forced to withdraw. The cost was high, and the dream of a swift victory was shattered. The bridge at Arnhem remained in German hands. This failure had significant strategic implications for the Allied forces. The failure at Arnhem marked a turning point in the war. The Allied advance stalled. The momentum they had gained from the Normandy breakout was lost. The dream of a swift victory faded. The war would drag on for many more months, with countless more lives lost. Operation Market Garden remains a poignant reminder of the complexities and uncertainties of war. What if, however, key decisions had gone differently? What if the Allies had taken a different approach to their planning and execution? Imagine a scenario where the Allies addressed the critical flaws that plagued Operation Market Garden. This operation, ambitious in its scope, aimed to end the war by Christmas 1944, but it was fraught with challenges. Firstly, intelligence gathering, a crucial element in any military operation, needed bolstering. The importance of accurate and timely intelligence cannot be overstated, especially in a complex operation like Market Garden. More accurate information regarding the presence of German armoured units near Arnhem would have been paramount. The lack of this critical data led to underestimating the enemy's strength and positioning. This vital intelligence could have prompted a change in the drop zones, placing the paratroopers further from enemy concentrations. Such a strategic adjustment might have allowed for a more effective and safer landing. Secondly, the Allies could have deployed a larger airborne force, ensuring sufficient manpower to overcome stiffer than anticipated opposition. The initial force, though brave and determined, was simply not enough to hold their objectives. A 4th Airborne Division, perhaps held in reserve, could have tipped the balance. This additional force would have provided the necessary reinforcements to sustain the momentum of the operation. This would have provided the much-needed strength to hold the bridge at Arnhem long enough for Écart's Corps to arrive. Holding this key position was crucial for the success of the entire operation. Lastly, a more realistic timetable was necessary. The original plan's ambitious timeline did not account for the numerous logistical challenges and the fierce resistance encountered. The ambitious speed of Six Corps' advance, hampered by logistical issues and the narrow corridor, proved unrealistic. A more measured approach, allowing for contingencies, might have been more effective. A more cautious approach, prioritizing firepower over rapid movement, might have been more effective. This would have ensured that the advancing forces were better protected and supported. By addressing these crucial flaws, a different outcome for Operation Market Garden becomes conceivable. The operation could have turned into a decisive victory, altering the course of the war. A successful operation hinged upon a blend of tactical adjustments and a more pragmatic approach to the challenges at hand. Flexibility and adaptability were key to overcoming the obstacles faced. The Allies, with their superior resources and determination, had the capacity to overcome these hurdles. Their ability to adapt and respond to changing circumstances was a significant advantage. The question remains, what would a successful Market Garden have meant for the course of the war? The potential impact on the war's duration and the post-war landscape is a fascinating topic for historians and strategists alike. With these crucial changes implemented, the outcome at Arnhem could have been dramatically different. Imagine the British paratroopers landing further away from German armoured units, quickly securing the northern end of the Arnhem Bridge. The element of surprise, coupled with increased manpower, allows for a more robust defence. Six Corps, advancing cautiously but steadily, encounters less resistance than in our timeline. The road to Arnhem is open. The link-up between Six Corps and the paratroopers at Arnhem would have been a decisive moment. The Allied forces, now firmly established on the north bank of the Rhine, would have had a clear path into the heart of Germany. This victory would have sent shockwaves through the German High Command. Their defences, already stretched thin, would be reeling from this unexpected Allied breakthrough. The capture of the bridge at Arnhem, a symbol of both Allied ambition and German resilience, would have had immense strategic value. It would have allowed the Allies to bypass the Siegfried Line, a formidable defensive barrier along the German border, and opened a direct route into the Ruhr Valley, the industrial heartland of Germany. The success of Operation Market Garden would have thrown the German war machine into disarray. Already stretched thin on both the eastern and western fronts, the Wehrmacht would struggle to respond to this significant breach. Morale, already low after months of defeats, would plummet further. The myth of German invincibility, carefully cultivated by the Nazi regime, would be shattered. The German response would likely be a desperate scramble to contain the Allied advance. Reserve units, hastily assembled and poorly equipped, would be thrown into the fray. However, facing the full might of the Allied armies, their efforts would prove futile. Within the German High Command, recriminations and blame would be rampant. Hitler, prone to paranoia and distrust, would likely launch into a purge of his generals, further weakening the German war effort. The impact on the German war effort would extend beyond the battlefield. The Allied capture of the Ruhr Valley would cripple German industrial output, depriving their armies of vital war material. The loss of this crucial industrial region, combined with the psychological blow of a successful Allied offensive, would have severely diminished Germany's ability to wage war. With the Rhine crossed and the German defences in disarray, the Allied armies would have been in a prime position to drive deep into Germany. The crossing of the Rhine was a significant milestone, symbolising the breach of Germany's last major natural defence barrier. The momentum of their advance, coupled with the psychological advantage of a resounding victory, would be difficult for the Germans to counter. The morale of the Allied troops was at an all-time high, while the German forces were increasingly demoralised and disorganised. The Allied air forces, now operating from bases within Germany, would enjoy complete air superiority. This dominance in the skies allowed for more effective reconnaissance and close air support for ground troops. They would relentlessly pound German industrial targets, transportation infrastructure and troop concentrations, ensuring that the German war machine was crippled beyond repair. The Allied advance would likely follow two main axes. The destruction of key factories and railways would severely limit the German ability to resupply and reinforce their front lines. The Allied advance would likely follow two main axes. One thrust would head east towards Berlin, the ultimate prize. Capturing Berlin would not only be a symbolic victory but also a strategic one, as it was the heart of the Nazi regime. This advance would aim to capture the German capital and deliver a decisive blow to the Nazi regime. The fall of Berlin would likely signal the end of organized German resistance. Another thrust would target remaining industrial centers in central and southern Germany, aiming to dismantle the remaining pillars of the German economy and war effort, seeking to completely cripple the German war machine. The systematic destruction of these industrial hubs would ensure that Germany could no longer sustain its military operations. The liberation of France and the Low Countries had shown that the civilian population, weary of war and Nazi oppression, generally welcomed the Allied liberators. The scenes of jubilation in France and Belgium were a testament to the relief felt by civilians after years of occupation. A similar scenario would likely unfold in Germany. Many German civilians, exhausted by the war and disillusioned with the Nazi regime, would likely see the Allies as liberators rather than conquerors. The disintegration of the Nazi regime, coupled with the arrival of Allied forces, would create a power vacuum that could lead to widespread chaos and uprisings, could potentially trigger widespread uprisings across Germany. These uprisings would further destabilize the already crumbling Nazi control over the country. This would further erode the already crumbling Nazi control over the country. The combination of military pressure from the Allies and internal resistance would hasten the end of the war in Europe.